Good evening. I call the regular meeting of the Ames City Council for Tuesday, June 25th to order. Welcome, everybody. And we're going to go right into consent. Does council wish to pull any item from consent tonight? Hearing none, entertain a motion to approve consent.
Move consent.
Second.
Thank you. And is Gloria, is she online?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yes.
Very good. Thank you, Gloria. All right, roll call, please.
Fetcher.
Aye.
Edie Hansen.
Aye.
Rollins.
Aye.
Poirier.
Aye.
Garten.
Aye.
Junk.
Thank you. We'll move into public forum. This is time we set aside for comments from the public on topics of city business other than those listed on the agenda. I ask people limit their comments to 3 to 4 minutes tops. And I know that Mr. Larson, you expressed interest, so I'll let you start. And then after that, anyone else is welcome to come to the podium. Introduce yourself.
Good
and you
evening,
may start.
Council. My name is Paul Larson. Cindy and I live at 5600 Irons Way. My reference this evening is in regard to the septic systems and the sewer system in regard to the annexation. Believe it or not, Cindy and I are proud members of Ames. We enjoy being here. We are brought here to facilitate and take care of my wife's parents. So our career was in Colorado, and we're very pleased to be members of the Ames community. I am a graduate. My last degree is from the University of Iowa, but all my neighbors are trying to make me cyclones. So I'll think about that. I will not dwell on other readers and conformers and people that have mentioned about the sewer system. I would like to elaborate on a couple questions, or couple questions and answers. First of all, thank you for listening to Lee Huey's comments and those other comments. But this evening, I'd like you to consider a couple things. One, the annexation for the sewer system going north along 190th. I believe that those properties, there's 3 or 4 homes, have a variance. Their septic system is not involved in the requirement of the city. So those homes will maintain themselves on their current septic system. It's a little deviant or difference than the city saying we all have to be on the sewer system. So I'd like you to take that into consideration as you think about and talk about that. Another thing is, have you talked and thought about with your engineers the topography of the landscape and the requirements for pump systems? Now, I'm not a plumber and I don't advocate to say that, but each of our homes has a septic system and also a sump pump. It requires it to move up and flow with the gravity. And I think that would be a consideration as you're thinking about the total sewer system lineage along Irons Way. The third thing is, and I'm a member of the club, have you taken into consideration the 3 septic systems that now exist on the golf course? Surely you're not going to plumb and bring sewer to those particular facilities. There's one that's a maintenance facility along Highway or Road 190, and then 2 bathroom facilities that are along hole number 10 and hole number 8. That would be an unbelievably unique way to go about requiring septics. So in conclusion, thank you for your time. One, We wonder about the homes along 190th and the requirement not to have them on sewer system. 2, the topography and the requirement for pump or lift systems that will be required. And I'm sure your engineers will be discussing that and delineating that. And 3, the requirement for the club. Will you be requiring the bathroom systems that are on the court to have a city sewer? So thanks again, and I appreciate the time, and we'll see you again later on when this is on the topic.
Thank you.
Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else want to address council under public forum? Seeing and hearing none, we'll close public forum. Move on to item number 38, hearing on annexation of former Borgmeyer Farm property and other properties. Amelia.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'll describe this while Susan's helping me with technology. So this annexation is of the Borgmeyer property. Oh, thank you, Susan. Which is the main, most amount of acres you see on the screen. This was initiated back earlier this year, and it was then split from the property of the Irons and Gulf Country Club to the north. So we're just entertaining tonight the annexation of the Borgmeyer property, non-consenting property owners along George Washington Carver that would otherwise be islands, as the city's located to the west. And then we are also having a hearing on annexation along Hyde to the east, which includes some INHF land and property owned by Sturgis, which is all consenting. And then again, we have other properties that would otherwise be islands along Hyde. So those are also being proposed to be annexed. As you know, we're allowed to take in 20% of property owners as non-consenting under state law. They represent about 10% here. And we can also annex the railroad for more uniform boundaries, which is proposed. You can see the railroad really bisects city boundaries all the way down to Bloomington. So that's important to prevent future jurisdictional gaps. I think one of the main conversations tonight is about the development agreement that goes with this annexation. So when you initiated the annexation, you asked us to bring back a development agreement that would address construction of infrastructure to serve the Borgmeyer development when it develops. We're expecting a mix of housing and commercial area on the Borgmeyer site. Since that time, the developer has requested incentives from the city to assist with infrastructure. So we've not returned with the development agreement pending discussion on incentives and pioneer infrastructure. So what we're recommending is deferring the development agreement, and we can address that with the rezoning after those conversations on the incentive requests have concluded and we have direction from council. So that's alternative one. So again, it would be finding that this annexation is consistent with our comprehensive plan. Borgmeyer is our last piece of remaining urban growth in the north area of the city, that we're taking in non-consenting properties in the railroad for uniform boundaries and to prevent islands, and then deferral of the development agreement until the time of rezoning so we can continue those conversations on incentives. I'll take any questions.
Thank you. Questions? All right, I'll declare the public hearing on this item to be open. Is there anyone who wants to address council on this topic? You're welcome to come up to the podium and address council. Seeing none, we'll declare the public hearing to be closed. Any questions for Amelia? Hearing none, entertain a motion on one of the alternatives.
I would second.
Thank you. And just don't have to read the whole thing, but just highlight what it is. For those who may not be aware.
Voluntary annexation and deferral of the developer agreement.
Thank you. Roll call.
Edie Hansen.
Aye.
Rollins.
Aye.
Corriere.
Aye.
Barton.
Aye.
Junk.
Aye.
Betcher. Betcher.
Aye.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Amelia. Move on to item number 29, hearing on proposal to vacate existing electric utility easement, 2125 Isaac Newton.
Pretty straightforward. Any questions?
Questions for staff? All right, declare public hearing on the proposal to vacate this electric utility easement to be open. Is there anyone who wants to address council on this topic? Hearing none, declare the public hearing to be closed. Entertain a motion resolution approving vacation of electric utility easement.
Move alternative one.
Second.
Thank you. Roll call.
Rollins.
Aye.
Corriere.
Aye.
Barton.
Aye.
Junk.
Aye.
Betcher.
Aye.
Edie Hansen.
Aye.
Thank you. On number 30, resolution approving suspension of enforcement of municipal code section 1716 related to minors on premises on June 18th. And Campus Town. Brian.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This request relates to a previously approved special event for Campus Town. It's being hosted by Ames Main Street. Subsequent to the approval for the event, Ames Main Street requested that the city consider suspending enforcement of section 17.16 of municipal code, which would allow for minors to be present in the event area where alcohol is being served. Alternatively, the event's original plan was involved a segregated alcohol service area in which minors would not be allowed to be. Staff has reviewed this request, particularly in light of the success of an earlier event this year, 515 Days, which Ames Main Street held downtown, and the council approved a similar waiver. We've evaluated the event area and the timing of the event, and based on all of the factors that we've evaluated, we believe that this request seems reasonable and can be granted in this instance. Staff, myself, and the police chief have reviewed all of the security plans and the arrangements that would be necessary to make this a successful event, and we're comfortable with how it's being proposed. So I believe there's representatives of Ames Main Street here if you have any questions for them, and the police chief is here as well.
Thanks, Brian. Questions?
Mayor, I have a question
Please go ahead.
and an observation. First, Brian, I'm not sure how to interpret the very end of the action form before alternatives, where staff believes that some minimal fencing is still necessary, but that relieving the organizers of the requirement for additional fencing would be acceptable. Does that mean we don't want them to add any additional fencing, or is it that we need them to add that fence along the west portion? I don't know how to interpret that.
No, there's a small area on the event site that staff discussed with Travis from Ames Main Street, where some fencing would be necessary, but the remainder of the site is separated from other properties by a high wall and other permanent fencing that exists. So the area where the high wall is and where the permanent fencing exists, we don't believe needs to be fenced again. There's just a small portion on the northwest portion of the site where it would be important to include fencing in order to kind of guide people into the event area. We discussed that at a staff level with the organizers. I don't think that there's anything that we need specifically from the council regarding the fencing. This is just sort of the application of the practice that we have had at staff level for requiring the premises to be delineated and separated from areas outside the premises.
Okay, thank you. The other thing is that I would just observe that the sixth requirement mentions that it's being held when Iowa State University classes are out of session. They're actually in session, it's just summer session. So I'm hoping that the presence of students was taken into account when discussions were held, because there certainly are students around.
Yes, our intent was it's out of the fall or spring session. It is not during fall or spring semester.
Any other questions? All right, we'll open up public comment. Is there anyone that wants to address council on this topic tonight? All right, we'll close public comment. Is there any closing questions? Otherwise, entertain a motion on one of the alternatives.
Alternative one.
Second.
Thank you. Roll call.
Fourier.
Aye.
Garten.
Aye.
Junk.
Aye.
Betcher.
Aye.
Edie Hanson.
Aye.
Rollins.
Aye.
Thank you. All right, move on to item number 31, resolution approving spring FY 24-25 downtown facade grants. Benjamin.
Good evening.
Good evening.
We have 3 facade grant requests this evening. 2 of them are all maintenance grants, for, taking advantage of the recently approved changes to the downtown facade grant program that allow for buildings that are contributing resources to the National Register of Historic District to apply for maintenance grants. Those projects are at 136, 138 Main Street, where Little Woods Herbs and Teas is, and 313 Main Street, where Cook's Emporium is. Those are all doing maintenance work to the exterior walls of the building. And then a third grant at 202 Main Street is also taking advantage of the maintenance grant for the exterior walls of that building, and also the rehabilitation grant for the historically significant character defining features. On the Main Street facade of the building, the second floor windows are original to that facade. They are steel casement windows, and the owner of the building is proposing to restore those. There is enough funding. Available to cover all of these grants, and staff does recommend approval.
Thank you, Benjamin. Questions? All right, we'll open up public comment. Is there anyone that wants to address council on this topic tonight? Seeing none, we'll close public comment. Is there a motion on the resolution? Or alternative, excuse me.
I move alternative one.
Second.
Thank you. Roll call.
Garten.
Aye.
Junk.
Aye.
Betcher.
Aye.
Edie Hanson.
Aye.
Rollins.
Aye.
Fourier.
Aye.
Thank you. Thanks, Benjamin. Move on to item number 32, ordinance regarding state law on RPAC.
The
Mark?
legislature passed Senate File 311, which the governor signed into law. It prohibits any city that has a civil service commission, which includes Ames, from having any sort of a board or committee that reviews of citizens that review police actions. We have the Ames Residents Police Advisory Committee that we call RPAC. So under this new state law, we're no longer allowed to have that. So we have an ordinance that repeals the RPAC. Repeals the RPAC ordinance.
Okay. Questions?
I was wondering if Chief Huff, if I could ask just a couple questions. As you're coming up, as we bring closure to this, I think it's appropriate that we just give a few moments to understand the history of this. So, and Steve, feel free to chime in. Could you walk us through the context of when this was created and what were the circumstances in our community?
Sure. This started back in 2020, following the events in Minneapolis, where we actually completed a pretty lengthy report on some of it was just explaining our practices just in general, because there was a lot of questions at that time. One of the things that came out of that report was the creation of RPAC, or the Ames Resident Police Advisory Committee, which has been going since I think 2021 when we officially got started.
And who were the major people that were involved in developing this?
So the overall report was Steve was heavily involved, Brian was heavily involved, myself, Chief Sykosh before he retired had some involvement in it, and some of our command staff.
And we had several protests in Ames during this time, none of them violent, but several protests here in Ames. And could you walk us through what did RPAC actually do? Like, how often did they meet? What did they do?
So the demonstrations that took place in Ames, RPAC was not, they hadn't started yet when those happened. But after that point, when we got started in, I believe it was around August or July of 2021, really what we started with is we met about every couple of weeks, and we just provided training on our different policies and procedures, complaint process, a lot of other legal principles. And it took us about a year to kind of get through all of the training part of that, I think. And then since then, they've made suggestions for what they wanted to know more about from the police department, and we've provided that to them. They did some crime scene investigation and learned how to do fingerprints and those kind of things that we do kind of in our Citizens Police Academy as well. And we've met pretty regularly since then, usually about every 2 months.
And was the NAACP involved in making recommendations or reviewing this report?
Yeah, I believe they did have some input.
And was this proposal that we had for RPAC, was this something that we pulled off the shelf from other communities, or was this something that was tailored for this community?
Probably a little of both,
Okay.
to be honest.
And then as we go forward tonight with bringing this to a close, what do we do going forward?
So I think it's fair to say we're bringing RPAC to a close, but there are still some things that a committee could work with us on that is outside of reviewing the conduct of police officers. We do a lot of outreach events. Education is still important to our mission. And so I think we can still have a committee of some kind that doesn't do a few of the things, but they can still do quite a bit. And I've already been in contact with all the members of RPAC during this process since this passed. So they're well aware of the constraints. And I think I've heard back from all of them now that they're all willing to continue on in some capacity. And I think we'll probably engage with them on what they would like to see. And obviously we have to comply with the law, but I think there's still a lot of room for this.
And we appreciate the work of the volunteers on this.
Excuse me, when Jeff talks about, I'll make it clear, we're talking about not a city council committee, but a lot of department heads. I've had some, it would be advisory committee to the police chief directly, if that's
Right.
okay. So.
And then Steve, I want to just throw a softball to you. You worked very hard on this project. Are there any comments that you have as one of the chief drafters of this?
No, I think those were very difficult times, turbulent times, and I've got to give credit to the citizens of Ames, because I think the report was accepted by the populace here, and that the council made a great effort to try to improve things. So it's not just the work of all of us, but you adopting it, and I think the citizens of Ames embracing it. So that helped a lot diffuse what was a really a very volatile situation at the time.
It's hard to go back and sort of put ourselves in that mindset, but it was a very tense time in the community.
Mm-hmm.
I had police officers tell me that their kids were getting sort of razzed at school because their father was a police officer, and that broke my heart. And there was a lot of tension. And I want to just commend again publicly the work that you did, Steve, and Chief Huff, in crafting this. And what I think is important to note is that this was an Ames specific. I mean, even though you learn from other communities, this was tailored for our community. And this is my comment, home rule, the best of home rule means that communities get to learn and study what's best for their community and craft solutions that work best for them. We wouldn't begin to tell Davenport or Sioux City how to make such personal decisions for their communities. Those are things best left for them. But I would ask the legislature to leave us alone, to allow us to make decisions. There was so much work that went into this, and it was very successful. And again, I please extend our gratitude from the council to the volunteers who worked on this. And I've talked about this extensively, but it further illustrates the importance of maintaining home rule and allowing cities to craft ordinances and policies that fit their community. Thanks for your answers tonight.
Any questions?
Mayor, I have a question for the chief. It was my impression, Chief, that a majority of the work that RPAC was charged with doing wasn't actually review of the conduct of officers, but focusing on our processes and maybe how some of our policies are written, as well as some other things. Could you comment on just how much of what they were doing was really related to conduct as opposed to these other important aspects of policing?
Sure. I think it's hard to define what review the conduct of police officers means. It's very broadly written, and I think it's probably for a reason. But a lot of what RPAC has done is just to bring that different perspective, I think, to the police department. We had very good discussions during all of our meetings. It's a really good group of people, very committed to their community and to the police department. And they did a lot of, so they read through all of our critical policies. I'm not going to say they read every single one because it's 563 pages of policy manual, but pursuit policy, use of force policy, those kind of things, and just got a better understanding of how and why we do some of the things that we do. And they offered some suggestions from time to time, which is always useful. Those things can, in some form, I think, continue. And I think if you saw some of our events, such as National Night Out and Shop with a Cop, they were also involved in those events with us, standing next to us in those. And I appreciate that very much by all of them. It was a major time commitment for them, especially that first year where we were meeting every couple of weeks. Now we're meeting every couple of months, but it's still a major time commitment in the evening. And so I also want to make sure that I thank them for that commitment. And luckily and selfishly for me, they're all willing to stay on in some form. So we'll get to continue some of these conversations.
I'm very glad to hear that we aren't wasting all that expertise that they've developed over the last few years. And I would say that Anita and Pa and I attended the International Town and Gown Association conference this past week, and we heard about a police community engagement commission operating in Ohio. And it occurred to me that really what a lot of RPAC work has involved is that kind of engagement that's so important to developing the relationship between the law enforcement community and the community at large. And so I'm very glad to hear that we will have some continuity. And I also want to thank the department and the officers for being willing to work with us on all of this.
Thank you.
All right. Public comment. Does anyone wants to address council on this topic tonight? We'll close public input. Is there a motion?
Begrudgingly move first passage.
Second.
Roll call.
Junk.
Aye.
Betcher.
Aye.
Edie Hanson.
Aye.
Rollins.
Aye.
Corey.
Aye.
Thank you. All right, move on to item number 33, first passage of ordinance amending game day and special events parking penalty. Chief?
I'll keep it brief because we discussed this at one of the last meetings. So in front of you have an ordinance that increases the penalty for those special penalty parking areas to $75 from what was $40. And just a quick reminder, $75 if you wait more than 7 days to pay it, $70 if you pay it within 7 days. And so that's the ordinance you have in front of you, and I'll take any questions you might have.
Thank you. Questions? Gloria, any questions?
No, Mayor.
Thank you. All right, we'll open a public comment. Does anyone else address council on this topic? We'll close public input. Entertain motion on first passage of ordinance amending game day and special events parking penalty.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Roll call.
Betcher.
Aye.
Edie Hansen.
Aye.
Rollins.
Aye.
Corey.
Aye.
Garten.
Aye.
Junk.
Thank you. And staff is requesting a motion to suspend the rules and allow second and third reading and adoption of the ordinance tonight. Is there a motion to that effect?
Move we suspend the rules?
Second.
Roll call.
Edie Hansen.
Aye.
Rollins.
Aye.
Corey.
Aye.
Garten.
Aye.
Junk.
Aye.
Betcher.
Aye.
All right. Entertain motion on second passage of ordinance amending game day and special events parking penalty.
Move on second.
Second.
Roll call.
Rollins.
Aye.
Corey.
Aye.
Garten.
Aye.
Junk.
Aye.
Betcher.
Aye.
Edie Hansen.
Aye.
Thank you. Entertain a motion on third reading and adoption of ordinance number 4557.
So
Move on
moved.
third. Second.
Thank you. Roll call.
Corey.
Aye.
Garten.
Aye.
Junk.
Aye.
Betcher.
Aye.
Edie Hansen.
Aye.
Rollins.
Aye.
Thank you. We'll move on to item number 34, first passage of ordinance relating to fireworks.
Guess I'm staying.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Rich Higgins, Ames Fire Chief. I'm up here with Chief Huff, and then we got Mark here as well for legal counsel. The ordinance is pretty straightforward. The state has changed the fireworks ordinance, limiting your abilities to say when they can be shot off. And so tonight we're here asking you to pass on first, second, third reading, the ordinance allowing fireworks to be shot off on July 3rd and 4th, and also December 31st within certain timeframes that's listed in the ordinance. I think it's important to point out too that we are doing a pretty aggressive outreach, especially to landlords in our community. Chief Huff and I have penned a letter that, with help from Susan, to make sure that we get out to all the landlords and then also to the public on where fireworks can be shot. It's important for our audience to know that you just can't go out on the street and shoot off a fireworks on July 3rd, 4th, or December 31st. It needs to be on private property that you own. So if you're a tenant, you don't own your property. That'd be your landlord's property, and you have to have permission from them to be able to shoot off fireworks. So that means no parks. We had a joint meeting with our Parks and Rec Director Keith, Brian. There's a group of us looking to see what we can do to keep the public informed and also keep our parks safe. So that if people want to shoot off fireworks, they can do so on their private property and not try to interfere with their neighbors or especially city-owned property.
Thank you. Questions?
I'll just add one really quick thing. We're also adding in the fine of $250 for a violation, which actually makes it a little easier for the officers to write a citation for a violation of the code. So it doesn't count in that time frame of the 3rd, 4th, 31st, and into the 1st. But if they go past the time that you're allowed, or if they're doing it in a street or a park, then they would be able to write that citation for that violation.
So just a quick question on that. If someone shoots off fireworks on 3rd, 4th, or 31st, and it's not their property, would that fine apply?
So they have to have, that would be a violation if they didn't have permission. So the way it's written is it's either your property or you have permission from the property owner. That's what allows us to say no on the parks, no on city property, obviously no on a city street. So this, if you violate that ordinance, then you would be subject to that $250 fine.
So regardless, I mean, it's got to be on your property, or otherwise you aren't given you can shoot your fireworks off even on those days. Then that's the point. I mean, someone who's renting a house, even though the state law says you can shoot them off on the 3rd, 4th, and 31st, you are not allowed to do that. Is that correct?
I'm guessing for the most part, most of our landlords and property owners and the rentals are not okay with fireworks being shot off on their property. That's our assumption. But if we get a call, we'll have to verify that first with the actual property owner management company or whoever.
And that was my other question was, if someone says, oh yeah, I got permission, you have to go back through and vet it then.
So that's part of the letter that we've developed, is to put the landlords on notice that if we get a call from one of the tenants that someone's shooting off fireworks, say in the parking lot, we have to hear from them that it's a violation, not just from other people that live there. So it's a little bit messy, but we'll work through those as they come in. And we're hoping, and generally our landlords do a good job of stepping up in times like this to make sure that it's clear to their tenants what is and is not allowed.
And I think it goes with, it's important to note too, that this has been involved Iowa State University, some outreach to the Ames Community School District, as well as they have property in Ames and they want to make sure it's protected. So it's been a joint information sharing opportunity to the community. So everyone's informed. There'll be a video, I believe, that Amber Christian and Deputy Chief Karen Tapper are going to be doing together as well to get information out. So we want people to be informed. We want them to be safe, and do it on your property if you're going to.
Thank you. Other questions?
Mayor, I have a question for the chief.
Which one?
Chief, do we have knowledge from past years of which city properties might be hotbeds of fireworks shooting?
Well, I think our concerns are the parks, for one. And so we've already talked about some strategies to kind of keep an eye on those, including staffing, maybe having people in those parks to kind of keep an eye on it. And beyond private property, we occasionally will get folks that will shoot fireworks off in the street because it's concrete and they feel it's safe at least, but that's not a good place to do them. So those are probably our major concerns, unless you know of other ones.
No, I think streets and parks, we're working with Keith on some different strategies on, parks close at a certain time, and we're discussing the idea of putting barricades up or having staff or marked vehicles in those areas to hopefully discourage people from shooting off fireworks in our parks. We want to keep our parks safe and protected.
And can you just clarify, when you say fireworks, what's included and what's not included in a definition of fireworks for this ordinance?
So you have display fireworks and consumer fireworks. Display fireworks is what our community is going to enjoy on Thursday, July 3rd. Those are the big ones, the ones that you hear go boom. The consumer fireworks are Roman candles, bottle rockets, things of those sorts, fountains. It does not include M80s. Actually, M80s are against the law to set off. So everything in the code for fireworks, it was remained the same for the state of Iowa, other than the times on where you can, where you can't limit where they can be shot off during those timeframes. Everything else, what you can purchase, has stayed the same.
I'm just thinking about sparklers and snakes, those, and also whistle pops and those kind of things. Are those considered fireworks? Because it says in the ordinance exploding fireworks. I'm just curious what people.
Those are not. That would not meet the definition per NFPA. Yep.
Okay.
If it's dry, there's like a county burn ban or something like that. Is it prohibited then from shooting off? Do you know if it's a dry June,
Mark,
say?
Remember?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think so. We had a brief discussion about that on whether a burn ban would override the state's
Prohibition.
Yeah.
And we think it wouldn't.
I don't think so. I think fireworks law comes to
Oh,
Wow. Okay. All right.
Thank
We'll open a public comment. Does anyone else address council on this topic tonight? Seeing none, we'll close public input. Any closing questions?
Just
Otherwise,
a Final comment. I mean, again, it's funny, we have two of these back to back. Why in the world would the legislature think it's important to devote their time to telling cities how to do this? And we should just agree that cities might have different temperaments and approaches to fireworks. Allow cities to do what they want to do, and rather than having a one size fits all. So another erosion of home rule.
is there a motion on first passage of ordinance?
So moved.
Roll call.
Aye.
Junk.
Aye.
Batcher.
Aye.
Edie Hansen.
Aye.
Rollins.
Aye.
Corriere.
Is there a motion to suspend the rules tonight to allow second and third reading and adoption of ordinance number 4558?
So moved.
Thank you. Roll call.
Junk.
Aye.
Batcher.
Aye.
Edie Hansen.
Aye.
Rollins.
Aye.
Corriere.
Aye.
Garten.
Aye.
Entertain motion on second passage of ordinance number 4558 relating to fireworks.
Move on second.
Second.
Roll call.
Batcher.
Aye.
Edie Hansen.
Aye.
Rollins.
Aye.
Corriere.
Aye.
Garten.
Aye.
Junk.
Thank you. And entertain motion on third reading and adoption of ordinance number 5558.
Move on third.
Second.
Roll call.
Edie Hansen.
Aye.
Rollins.
Aye.
Corriere.
Aye.
Garten.
Aye.
Junk.
Aye.
Batcher.
Aye.
Thank you. Thank you, Chiefs. Thanks. All right, move on to item number 35. Entertain motion on second reading of ordinance relating to establishing the urban revitalization plan for 329 Southeast 5th Street.
So moved.
Thank you. Roll call.
Rollins.
Aye.
Corriere.
Aye.
Garten.
Aye.
Junk.
Aye.
Batcher.
Aye.
Edie Hansen.
Aye.
And item 36, entertain motion on second reading of ordinance rezoning 113 North Dakota from residential low density RL to residential medium density RM with a plan unit development overlay RM PUD.
Move on second.
Second.
Roll call.
Corriere.
Aye.
Garten.
Aye.
Junk.
Aye.
Batcher.
No.
Edie Hansen.
Aye.
Rollins.
Aye.
Move on to item number 37, entertain motion on third reading and adoption of ordinance number 4556 relating to a zoning text amendment modifying billboard standards and creating a new digital display standard.
Move on third.
Second.
Thank you. Roll call.
Garten.
Aye.
Junk.
Aye.
Batcher.
Aye.
Edie Hansen.
Aye.
Rollins.
Aye.
Corriere.
Aye.
Thank you. Move on to disposition of communications to council. We have three items. One is the memo from John Dunn, from Water and Pollution Control Director regarding Ada Hayden water quality monitoring. And I believe this is just for council information.
I would point out, it's a very interesting report. And I encourage people who have an interest in Ada Hayden to take a look at this. Where would they find this on our website?
Susan, you know, we're posting this. We posted this report. We posted under water pollution control, probably.
It's on the city council minutes. And
It's under the minutes here, but you want to know.
But it'd be helpful for people to find it. And just the one sentence on this, the water quality continues to be good at Ada Hayden. So we've seen a lot of development north of Ada Hayden, west of Ada Hayden, and was very encouraged by that report. It's very technical. It's very interesting.
All right. The second item is an email from Max Rothschild requesting deer hunting in Munn Woods.
I'd refer that to the police chief.
I would move for a memo on the from the police chief on this one.
Second.
Thank you. Those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Any opposed? Nope.
They're waving at us.
What's that?
Staff's waving at us on this one.
Kelly?
Nope, sorry,
Oh,
okay.
no.
Next one.
He's not into deer.
Oh.
Aye.
Kelly, are you hunting? Are you into hunting or? Is that, oh.
Aye.
No. Did you get, that's 6-0, I presume. All right, item number 3, request for zoning text amendment regarding common open space. Is that something you wanted to comment on, Kelly?
I just wanted to give you a quick, we've been working with the applicant on this for quite some time. And it's a PUD issue. So it's something that's been recently discussed, obviously with the North Dakota site. I would advocate that it's worth just putting to an agenda. I think because you've recently worked through the infill issues, I don't think you need a memo from me talking about how a PUD ordinance relates to infill. It's a very specific issue that we should probably look at addressing to help support infill.
And potentially address other issues that.
Yeah, I think you could look at other things beyond this, but this one as a specific issue for a small infill site.
Thank you. Is there a motion to place this on a future agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Thanks, Kelly.
Mayor, Susan brought to my attention that the Ada Hayden reports currently are on the water department's pages on their website. So people who are interested.
Thank you.
Thanks, Susan.
All right, report of governing body. Any reports from Discover Ames tonight?
We meet next week.
Yep.
Thank you. AREA, any reports?
Gloria, you kept the notes. You want to do this one?
I could try. We heard a report from the developer of the link. And as I understand it, the plan is now to have a convention center and hotel with approximately 30,000 square feet, 150 to 250 rooms, premium priced. And that Discover Ames is going to be convening a steering committee of some kind to look into this. And beyond that, the development may shift its size and scope, but there would likely be 370 housing units if it emerges as they think it might. So there's still a lot of uncertainty around what will happen, but there is a desire to move forward with the project to include the convention space and hotel. Bronwyn, did you have anything else to report?
No, that was great. Thank you.
Thank you. Story County Emergency Management Agency does not meet for another month and a half. Story Transit.
We are meeting next week.
Thank you. Council comments. Gloria, we'll start with you. Anything tonight?
No, I hope I'll be back again next meeting.
We hope so too. Thank you.
Oh,
All right, Bronwyn.
Nothing for me. Thanks.
Nita.
Just a reminder that we'll have our Juneteenth celebration at Bandshell Park on Saturday from 12:30 to 5 p.m. Family friendly, lots of great events and vendors, so please come on out.
Thank you. Amber.
Nothing for me.
Tim.
Couple things. I wanted to commend the Ames Police Department for its work on the Boys and Girls Club pancake feed at the Ames Municipal Airport. Great event, huge crowds, wonderful event, and just I think a large number of our police officers were involved in this, so that was a great event. I also wanted to mark the passing of Dr. Jack Swanson. He very important physician in the community for decades, and he passed this week, and condolences to his family. And then I had mentioned to council making a motion that we would ask staff to engage the owners of 117 Kellogg to see if we can purchase that property for a parking area. So I would make a motion that we would ask staff to begin engaging with the owners of the property for the purchase.
Is there a second?
Awesome. Yep.
All right. Those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carried.
That's all. Thanks.
So item 10 on our consent was the Ames Regional Economic Area contract. And I would like to have kind of a deeper discussion of what that contract looks like for the following year at some point. So I would move that we put a discussion of the area contract for the following year on a future agenda.
I'll second.
All right. Those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Anything else? All right.
Or wait, council night at the band shell.
Oh, shoot.
Thursday.
You- I was waiting to see if anyone was going to say it. So,
Okay.
all right, yeah. Everyone's invited to come to the council night at the band shell. It'll be ice cream, and actually we'll be featuring the animal shelter. Will be out there with featuring the fundraising for that. So should be a great time.
I have Emily on the animal.
Oh, she is?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, I'll get you in a second here. All right. I'm on a roll. Second is next Wednesday at 4:00. There's an open house on SunSmart out at our solar farm. There's something else, but I will let it go. All right, Emily, sorry.
Anyways, not really anything for me tonight. Super exciting that there will be ice cream at council night. I'm sad I'm not able to be there, but the plan is to be in person at our next meeting on the 24th. So I look forward to seeing you all then.
Great, thank you. I know what it was. We had a really nice event at the at Chevron today for their ribbon cutting and grand opening, and we just appreciate the investment that Chevron made in our community and a great addition to the workplaces. So, with that, entertain a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
We're adjourned. We're adjourned. Thank you.